First of all, how do you enter a new market? Here I'm just making the assumption really that we're looking at agents and distributors because that's the most common method for small and medium-sized companies. Do we choose an agent or a distributor? And what's the difference between them? I'll just very briefly touch on the legal background to it because it is quite interesting. I know from legal background. How do you find an agent or a distributor in another market without it costing you a fortune and without it costing you anything? What are the key responsibilities that should be in a contract between yourself and an agent or distributor, or between you if you are an agent and distributor and your supplier or principal? How do we get rid of these undesirables that we acquire when we get agents and distributors? I'll look at some of the common problems, the problems I've come across and the problems that some of the companies that I've advised have come across. So, if you look, first of all, the purest form of market entry is direct supply. It's become more practical recently with the internet and the World Wide Web. You send out your goods to your customer and the customer sends money to you. Some benefits, in most of which are in the marketing side. You've got total control of your marketing message. You know exactly who your customers are. You know the likes, dislikes. You can get feedback back very quickly. The downsides, I suppose, is can you reach your customers? Invoicing payments can be a problem if you've got lots of little customers, and you've also got the ones that have been alluded to this morning by our other two speakers. Language customs, we've got time zone, can your product be supported by you back in the UK? So there's a few downsides to that. If we look at an agency operation, this is actually very similar to direct supply. In that we've got a supplier, you've got customers, you send goods out, you get money back. Sitting in the wings here, you've got an agent. He doesn't actually buy the product from you, but he is actually in charge of that sales relationship with the customers. So if you look at the actual relationships involved, whereas with a supplier and customers in direct selling, it was between supplier and customer, you've now got this guy or girl in the middle who is the relationship key to it. So lose your agent and potentially you've lost a great deal. How do you find an agent or a distributor in another market without it costing you a fortune and without it costing you anything? What are the key responsibilities that should be in a contract between yourself and an agent or distributor, or between you if you are an agent and distributor and your supplier or principal? How do we get rid of these undesirables that we acquire when we get agents and distributors? I'll look at some of the common problems, the problems I've come across and the problems that some of the companies that I've advised have come across. So, if you look, first of all, the purest form of market entry is direct supply. It's become more practical recently with the internet and the World Wide Web. You send out your goods to your customer and the customer sends money to you. Some benefits, in most of which are in the marketing side. You've got total control of your marketing message. You know exactly who your customers are. You know the likes, dislikes. You can get feedback back very quickly, and you have got the maximum margin, if you like, financial margin. The downsides, I suppose, is can you reach your customers? Can you actually find them using this technique? Invoicing payments can be a problem if you've got lots of little customers, and you've also got the ones that have been alluded to this morning by our other two speakers. Language customs, we've got time zone, can your product be supported by you back in the UK? So there's a few downsides to that. If we look at an agency operation, this is actually very similar to direct supply. In that we've got a supplier, you've got customers, you send goods out, you get money back. Sitting in the wings here, you've got an agent. He doesn't actually buy the product from you, but he is actually in charge of that sales relationship with the customers. So if you look at the actual relationships involved, whereas with a supplier and customers in direct selling, it was between supplier and customer, you've now got this guy or girl in the middle who is the relationship key to it. So lose your agent and potentially you've lost a great deal. Channel characteristics, you've still got very strong control, although you have got an agent there putting his 2 pence in, so you've perhaps not got unalloyed control. You know who your customers are, you control the finances. The downside is, particularly with agents in Europe, you've got termination problems in that it can cost you money. So, we turn now to the distributor operation, and you can see at a glance it's quite different, because now you've got a distributor in the way. So you hopefully are supplying large amounts of products to your distributor, who is then sending large amounts of money to you, and he's got all the pain of dealing with the individual customers. Relationships, quite different. The first thing to notice is that distributors have normally got many times more than one supplier. So you're now in competition with other suppliers. You've also lost the direct link between yourselves and your customers. So this is why when you open a box of some product that you bought, you probably find a little slip of paper and register for an enhanced warranty. In other words, we want to know who you are. So a distributor will never want you to know who his customers are. But you must always try and find out who they are, because if you fall out with the distributor, you've lost your customers. So channel characteristics. With a distributor, you've got local stock, you've got the local man there who can bid locally, is usually very well plugged in. You've got potential for product support, and you've got a credit risk element completely taken out of it. So you've only got to worry about the distributor, not all these dozens of other customers in that country. Now, the downside, of course, you've probably lost total control of your marketing, because it's not you that's selling the goods anymore, it's your distributor. You've lost your customer contact, you've lost your price control, because it's not you that decides how much the distributor can sell for, and you've got very limited control over who your distributor sells to. Sometimes you do get combined operations, and this is particularly true in fast-moving consumer goods, where you will have an agent that looks after the finding and the servicing of distributors. So that's a fairly common thing. What you've got to realise, of course, is that you're paying a margin to your distributors, letting your distributors make a margin, but paying commission to your agent as well. So you've got to be able to fund that through your sales. Often I'll also ask, what margin should I expect? It depends is the answer. If you've got an agent selling consumer goods, they'll typically want 15 to 20%. You might get a bit less, but that's typical. Industrial or commercial goods, a bit less. Commodities can be as low as 1%. So if you were an agent selling iron ore or steel, you'd be very happy to get 1% of 100,000 tonnes of oil. Distributors typically want double, because they've got to hold stock and they've got to take credit risk. Licensees, a bit less, but they're taking all the risk, they're doing all the work, whereas you, if you're licensing something like a patent or a trademark or some know-how, you're just collecting the money, so clearly online sales. This of course threw a great big spanner in the works of this legislation, because now you've got, if you imagine internet sales, it cuts right across distributors, right across agents, goes straight from producers to consumers. It's a big disruptive element in the market, and the likes of Givenchy and all of these people with brands, they said, oh, this is a disaster. We've now got our perfumes being sold on the internet, along with all the fake stuff. So, our brand image is going down in the market, and we need some way of controlling that. And what the European Union said was, yes, well, you can control it. If you put conditions on your distributor, you can make it so that they have to have that particular ethos, if you like, of their website, and they're not allowed to accept orders from third-party websites, such as Amazon, for example. So you can control it to some degree if you're in that sort of market where brand image is important to you. How do you find these magical sales multipliers, agents and distributors? Well, I think, first of all, you need to look at those ways of finding them that are free. Well, you may as well. And there are 4 of them, I guess, there. First of all, ask your customers in the market, who do you see? Who are the key players in your market? Second, and to my mind, this is one of the most effective ways of finding distributors or agents, look at your, not competitors, but look at the people who produce products that are similar to yours, used in a similar market area. I'm also often asked, who is the best distributor? Who is the best agent? Can you pick out the one that will perform best? You get off the plane in Dhaka. Right, now assuming you find your distributor or agent, what should you put in the agreement? And if you're making them non-exclusive, you might wonder, why do you need an agreement at all? You probably actually don't, just treat them like any other customer. But if you're granting someone exclusivity, you want to grant them exclusivity for a particular range of products, you can do that. You've got to agree what discounts they're going to get for being your agent or distributor. How long is this agreement going to last for? How often? How long before you can terminate it? What are the duties? What are the minimum targets? How can they use your intellectual property? And typically this will be trademarks. Are they allowed to open websites using your trademark, using your brand names? You need to nail that down. And then you've got some of the, what I call the boilerplate, which you see in every contract. There's things like confidentiality, force majeure, termination conditions, dispute resolution. If you don't put dispute resolution in, they first stop them with courts. So put in there mediation, arbitration. You don't want people taking you to court. Termination of distributors is not, I say not as bad. It's not laid down in legislation, but what you do need to do is give them reasonable termination notice. And what I always like to see in a distribution contract, if I'm the supplier, is a no-fault termination. So in other words, at 3 months' notice, I can go along and say, that's it, thank you for your efforts, but we're restructuring the market, whatever it is you're doing, 3 months' notice, and that's the end of it. Outside the European Union, if you're selling it to Russia, for example, or the Middle East, you might need product approvals. Who owns the product approvals? Is it you? Is it your distributor? And some very big companies have fallen foul of that, so they're going to change distributors and suddenly find their product's not approved for the market. How about that? Here are some problems that I've come across. I've had all of these, and what to do about them. So, market skimming. You've got a distributor who is tripling your prices in the market. He's making a rotten lot of money. He's only taking 5% of the available market, but he doesn't care because he's making a rotten lot of money at it. You need to discuss that with him, what his marketing strategy is, because you want turnover, you want volume. And you either agree a new way of working, otherwise you terminate them. Lifestyle agents, these are the guys who get up on a Tuesday and go to bed on a Thursday. Forget it, they'll never do anything, just get rid. Secret agents, you need to be able to control them or terminate them. Poor performance, you really need to be in control of this. First of all, you've got to be able to know that it's poor performance. Right, what is the total market? What is your percentage share of it? How does that compare with other agents, distributors? And then you can have the conversation. Well, why is this happening, Pedro? Why are we not getting a market share that's equivalent to the one we get in Germany and Netherlands? There might be good reasons for it, but it might just be not very good. So, in which case, you might have to give them some extra training, and at the end of the day, you might have to find another distributor. If you find someone selling your competitors' products, road to nowhere, cut it, just forget it. Unless you're very much better than they are. You get no communication from them. Well, half that's your fault. So please, get on the phone, talk to them, go out and visit them. It's not cheaper these days, very easy, pick up the phone. Stolen trade names. I came across a wonderful case recently. A company in Liverpool got a product, and they sold it to a distributor in Egypt. And before they knew what was happening, they had a company in Egypt named after that product, and they'd registered the trademark in Egypt. And so suddenly, that company in Liverpool is now stuck with Egypt and that particular distributor, because they can't go to another distributor without rebranding, because the first distributor owns all the intellectual property. So please protect yourself first. Brand mismanagement. And we've had all sorts of sorry tales about brand mismanagement. We've all heard the tale of Ratners, haven't we? Who said, how do you sell your jewellery so cheap? Because it's crap. Well, clearly, you don't want your brand destroyed by a distributor or agent, so really lay down those guidelines of what you want doing with those brands. Out of area sales. You might say, oh, that's bad because I've lost control. Well, does it matter? In Europe, you can't help it. I mean, if you're a Belgian distributor selling to France, well, that's just the way the law is. You can't do anything about it. Special discount. A number of times I've had an agent on saying, oh, if we can just have another 5%, we can just close this sale, we can get it down. Really, don't go there, because you'll never shut that door again. It'll always be 5%, 10%, 15%. Don't go there. Offer something else. Extended warranty. Paint it pink. Anything, but don't give them the money off. Okay, I think I've just about hit the time on that.